very important for us to take note of all these things. Yes, your lab scientists and your health specialists, autonomous. Yes, don't forget to follow our page. Yes, we are so on the circulatory system in humans. Today we are going to look at functions of the heart. Functions of the heart. Yes, the main function of the heart is to pump blood that contains oxygen and food to the various parts of the body. That is the major function of the heart. Yes, don't forget, the blood the heart pumps to the various parts of the body contains oxygen and digested food. That is the end product of the various food that is taken into the body. Yes, have you thought of how the food you eat gets to the various parts of the body for the cells to use them? Have you also thought of how oxygen gets to the various cells? Yes, the brain cell, for instance, depend solely on what? Glucose. So how does glucose get to the brain cells for it to be active? It is the blood that is responsible for transporting this glucose to the brain cells. So today, let us look at the functions of the parts of the heart. Yes, we have already discussed the 4 chambers of the heart already. Yes, the right atrium, the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle. Today we will learn more of the parts today. So don't forget that, how the heart pumps blood to the various parts of the body. Now, let us look at the main vein. The main vein. We have the main vein. Don't forget that. Now, if you look at the main vein, we have the 4 major chambers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Don't forget that. So the heart itself is divided into 2 parts. That is the right side and the left side. So the right side, we have what? The right ventricle and the right auricle. And the left side, we have the what? The left auricle and the left ventricle. So today, let's look at the function of the main vein. Before we come to the chambers, the veins are what? Part of the vessels that help with the transportation of blood throughout the body. So the vein is a vessel that brings into the heart deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body. So the vein is a blood vessel that sends deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body back to the heart. When we say deoxygenated blood, it is a blood without oxygen. So that is the major function of the vein. Now, we will look at how the deoxygenated blood transported or sent back to the heart is also transported to. Let's look at the pulmonary vein. We have the main vein, then the pulmonary vein. We said that the main vein transports deoxygenated blood from the various parts of the body back to the heart. Then, what is the function of the pulmonary vein? The pulmonary vein is what? A blood vessel that transports oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. So, don't forget, when we started, I said something like the heart is found between your 2 lungs. And during respiration, what happens? The lungs aid respiration. Respiration takes place in our lungs. So the oxygen we inhale or inspire into the lungs is what oxygenates the blood for it to be sent back to the heart. Then the aorta or the main artery will now pump the oxygenated blood to the various parts of the body. So what is the main function of the main artery? The main artery or the aorta. The aorta. The main function of the aorta or the main artery is the blood vessel that carries oxygenated blood from the heart to all parts of the body. So the aorta or the main artery is a blood vessel that carries what? Oxygenated blood from the heart to all parts of the body. So as the heart pumps blood, it pumps what? The blood that contains oxygen, which is called oxygenated blood, to the aorta, and it distributes it into the various parts of the body. Now, the main artery, which is aorta, also has what? A pulmonary what? Artery. And the pulmonary artery, what is its function? It is a blood vessel that transports deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. You remember I said the main vein. The vein transports deoxygenated blood from the various parts of the body back to the heart. So what happens as the vein carries deoxygenated blood to the heart? Now, when it gets to the heart, then we have the what? The pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery will then carry the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs for it to be oxygenated. Because when we inspire or during respiration, oxygen is taken into the lungs. So as the deoxygenated blood gets to the lungs, it is being oxygenated. The oxygen in the lungs mixed with the deoxygenated blood, making it what? Oxygenated. Are you following it? Very interesting. So after it is being oxygenated, then the pulmonary vein will now carry the oxygenated blood from your lungs to the heart. So as the oxygenated blood gets to the lungs, then the main artery, which is the aorta, will now transfer this blood to the various parts of the body. Isn't it interesting? Yes, very, very interesting. That is how blood is circulated throughout our entire body. Yes, so as we can see the various parts of the heart on the screen. Now, aside this, we have the left ventricle and the left auricle. Now, let us look at the function of the left ventricle and the left auricle. Before that, the heart is divided into two, and the structure that separates the heart is called septum. Septum. And what is the function of the septum? We can see that the septum prevents deoxygenated blood from mixing with what? Oxygenated blood, because it divides the heart into two, and one part of the heart contains oxygenated blood and the other part contains what? Deoxygenated blood. Let's not forget about that. So we can see that we have the pulmonary vein here. So your left side contains what? Oxygenated blood, and your what? Your right side of the heart contains deoxygenated blood. Let us not forget that. It's very easy to understand. So this septum prevents deoxygenated blood from mixing with oxygenated blood. So you can see the blue arrow is indicating what? Circulation of what? Deoxygenated blood. And the red one is indicating what? Movement or circulation of what? Oxygenated blood. So this is how blood circulates through our entire body. Now, aside the septum, we have what we call valves. We have what we call valves. And these are the valves. What are the main functions of these valves? We have the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve. We have the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve. Tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve. Now, what the main function of the valve is to prevent the backflow of what? Blood. The backflow of blood. So, let's look at the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve. This is the bicuspid valve and this is the tricuspid valve. Now, the tricuspid valve, it prevents the backflow of blood from the right ventricle into the left auricle. Yes, it prevents the backflow of blood from the right ventricle into the right auricle. Then, the bicuspid valve, this bicuspid valve, its function is to what? To prevent the backflow of blood from the left ventricle into the left auricle. Yes, you see, as blood moves into the left ventricle, for instance, as it opens for blood to enter, immediately the blood enters, then the valves will close. So as the valves close, it prevents the backflow of blood. If not because of the valves, then blood wouldn't be able to what? Move or circulate smoothly in the body. So it's very important we learn all these things. If you have any challenge, don't forget to send your comments. We are all learning together. Yes, this episode is talking more about the heart and its circulation of what? Blood. How it pumps blood throughout the body, and how to prevent ourselves from heart diseases. Yes, in our next episode, we will be looking at more and more of this. See you.